Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here with us. Welcome to another edition of our Corporate Innovation webinar series, a space where we bring together great guests and thought leaders from all over the world. Today, we're discussing a topic that challenges the way organizations structure and scale their ideas, which is cross-border and frontline idea management, how to break silos and democratize innovation. And for that, I have here with me Paula Suliem Correa, and she's the author of a very interesting framework that redefines how we think about idea management across global and complex organizations and environments. First of all, Paula, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
That's amazing. That's
It's a
amazing.
pleasure.
Thank you very much. So, Paula has an impressive background working at the special intersection between strategy, engineering, digital transformation, and of course, innovation. So, what makes this conversation special is that it brings two words that are often treated as opposite: operational excellence, day-to-day thing, and innovation. So we are quite excited to be here. Paula, so let's start. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. Let's dive into this discussion and let's get started. To begin, how can an organization ensure that ideas are judged based on merit rather than hierarchy? Something practical to get started.
The very first thing that we need to do is remove names from idea management. You anonymize the submissions, and that is the very first step into making sure that the idea is the central piece of idea management and innovation. So you then move away from hierarchy and political bias and interpersonal relationships, and you reduce the noise when the focus is on the idea. And for that to work, we need to make sure that front load work is excellent, and that's where processes and people come into play, right? You need to collaborate to get the information. That's your silos starting to break down. And it also brings accountability, because if the entire process of choosing an idea is blind, when you get that yes on your idea, then you are accountable for it. And you take more pride of, okay, there was nothing there that would identify me, that would make anybody just choose my idea because it's me rather than the potential that the idea brings.
That's fantastic. And the opposite as well. I'm not blocked because it's me. So
Yes. We should never forget the negative side of it. You know, the interpersonal relationships, they can go either way. We all come to work looking for the best in relationships, but it doesn't always happen. So you might have an amazing idea that gets killed before it has a chance to be explored, because it's a specific individual submitting it, right? So it makes, for me, turning the initial process blind ensures that anything that comes afterward is based on merit of the idea itself, right?
fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Paula. And then this leads us to some next steps. I know you've described something called the Raman paradox. I know you like this concept, etc. What is that? What is the connection between these and idea management, the avoiding hierarchy perspective? What is the connection between those two
Yes.
types?
So this comes from my student days, where ramen was the staple food, um, you know, and then you can have a meal. It will be a hot meal in 3 minutes, but is it good? Is it giving me everything I need? Is it ticking all the boxes of flavor, of texture, of nutrients that I need? We know it doesn't, and also brings a lot of sodium. So, but a homemade ramen, or if you go to a specialized restaurant, the broth that your noodles are going to be cooked in have been boiling for hours, and there's a process to it. So everybody want a 2-week delivery time to get their product on the market. You can get that, but is it worth pursuing that idea? Is it a good idea? I'm not saying that innovation has to be slow. That's not the point. But if you're not investing and taking care of your idea and your products, you might get a very good ramen that has all the nutrients and all the flavor and that complex profile to it that sets you apart from the rest. Or you can have a 30p package of ramen that, yeah, you're fed, but you're not really happy with it. So that's where the ramen complex. You can have things moving fast if you do front load work. If you walk into a ramen restaurant, they are going to have all the pots and pans running, and it takes very short time for you to be served. But the work they have done, starting at 4 a.m. to boil all the bones and the meat, you did not see that, but you're experiencing it. And that's what front load work means to me.
That's
You can
fantastic.
execute very quickly if you've done all your preparation before.
That's a very good angle. That's a bold statement, and we like those statements here. So thank you. And next point, it would be another connection between the merit, the ramen paradox, and in practical terms, when we talk about democratizing innovation,
Mhm.
we are talking about distributing power, putting powers through and to the edges. What does it mean for process design, for team autonomy, shared accountability? What are the practical terms for that, Paula?
Um, so the practical implication of that would be ideas can come from anywhere at any time. And they are usually compounded by our experience, our expertise, but mainly by our collaboration with others. So you hear that production has a problem, for example, and whatever it is that's running on their conveyor belt is tipping over. So that could be a packaging issue. You need to go and find a way of making sure that your production line is safe and you're not wasting resources, time. You don't have downtime, because we know those hours can make a difference on your PLL at the end of the year. So you look into, what can I do to fix this issue? And this brings in the shop floor being key into innovation. Innovation is not only coming up with new products, but also how we get those products out in the market. So you look into, your product is going on the conveyor belt, bottles are tipping over. Is it the conveyor belt that needs fixing? Are we neglecting the maintenance? Do we need a different schedule? How can we make the production schedule work with the maintenance schedule? But also, you might have something else, like somebody in production can come up with an amazing new engineering process, and they implement it. You are a product owner. This is your product. They're responsible. The operations guys are responsible for making sure your product is produced and shipped to our customers. However, the great idea that makes things run better has now knocked down my premium classification to a much lower one. So um, I've saved a lot of money in production. I've figured out that my bottles are not going to top over. However, my price has plummeted. You can say that you're breaking even, but you're losing your share in the market for a premium solution. So that's where collaboration and accountability, I can have a great idea, but I need to make sure that what I am doing will not have a negative impact on anyone else. Innovation cannot exist without systems thinking. You need to look at the bigger picture all the time, right? So this is how democratization of innovation works in my mind. It can come from anywhere. It can come from anyone, but the impact will affect everyone, positively or negatively. So collaboration and accountability are in the crux for this to work.
Fantastic, Paula. Fantastic. And let's get back to one of our main topics for today, which is cross-border innovation, cross-border idea management. So I would say that you are a global citizen. You have Spanish roots, you live in Denmark, and you have worked with American companies. And I know as well that you argue that local constraints can become global opportunities. How can intelligent routing system help an idea or a rejected idea in one region find the right environment to thrive elsewhere, for instance?
That is a very, very good question. And it has a very simple answer, but it's very complicated to implement because you need people to want to collaborate in that way. So when you are doing front load work for idea management, you're going to look at political, environmental, you're going to do a pestle evaluation. You go through the framework. So I might have a great idea here in Denmark. And when I start doing my pestle work, it's like, okay, regulatory will never allow me to produce these in Denmark. I also don't have a market for this. However, my colleagues in Brazil could do that. This is where the collaboration comes into, because you're going to make sure that, okay, I can't do that in Denmark, but I can reach out to my network and make sure that we can do that somewhere else. If we really believe the idea, we're going to find a way of bringing it to fruition or bringing it to the board for approval, right? So process is the key here. Culture can help, but so you need culture, you need structure, and you need process. But above all, you need a strategic vision that will give you need strategic planning that will give you the long-term vision. You need tactical planning that will bridge the execution into operation, and then you need operational planning that will bring things to the market. So when you're looking into democratizing, making these things work, you will tick your boxes. Legal, I can do this in Brazil, I can do this in Denmark, but not in the US. I can do that in China. And then, okay, I can sell this in Asia, but I cannot sell it in Brazil. However, my expertise is there. So you are bringing a multidisciplinary team together, but also you're making sure that your resource utilization is to the max. It is being well used. So I have my expertise in Brazil. I have my market in Asia, and I have my production site in the US. So when you're doing your front load work, and let's say sustainability is a big thing for your brand, my carbon footprint will be higher if I'm producing in the US to ship to Asia. When you're doing your work and you articulate your idea, you have had the opportunity to assess all of the impacts, the environmental impacts. You also need to think about business continuity. Can I guarantee the supply chain? So if my supplier here cannot, my supplier in Denmark cannot provide it to me, what is my alternative? Will that affect my bill of materials for, products that require it? It's much easier if you're developing software. You can draw things on paper, and you can work asynchronous. It's a different ball game. But if you're in the food industry, or if you're any petrochemical, how can you guarantee that? So all of this works together, and you need processes for those things. You need you need frameworks in place, and people don't like process, but it makes their lives easier because it takes the guessing out of it.
That's another good statement, Paula. And I would say this connects with the simplicity of idea management, innovation funnel, a simple pipeline. It's something powerful. And how do you see a simple pipeline in a real environment? You mentioned complex operations, you mentioned manufacturing, food industry. How 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 a simple pipeline works in a complex environment, please.
These will be the simplest answer I can give you, and it's knowing the maturity of your idea. So if you are familiar with TRL, the technology readiness level, and it's 9 levels, from we need fundamental research and we are just sustaining growth, which from 9 being the lowest, not the highest, and 1 being the lowest there. That will tell you what you need. How many people do you need? How much money? How much time you need? Right? So your pipeline is simplified by the clear understanding of where your idea currently is. What is the maturity that you have? So I know, let's say that I have a product that's doing very well in Europe. I don't need fundamental research for that. So I'm already decreasing the risks here because I know what this product is. I know what I need, and I have business continuity for this market. I just need to scale that somewhere else. So I don't need to go back to fundamental research, conceptualization, proof of concept. I can skip all of these and go into a much lower risk project and say, okay, it ticks all the regulatory boxes. Let's look into the market. Do we have a market here? Great, we do. Ready to go. Then you just focus on your scaling up activities, which you need a process in place to expedite it, right? So for me, it's always going to be understanding the maturity of your idea. I'm not saying that we shouldn't invest in ideas that are in their infancy, because novel products and you cannot measure things that have not been invented yet. So you cannot apply the market metrics, for example, for something that you're just now looking at and you're still doing fundamental research on. So you simplify it by classifying the types of projects based on idea maturity. So how far along am I? What resources and investment required? So
I see. I see. I would like to tease you in a good way. I would like to run a curve here or a shift. So we have also the opportunity to work on incremental innovation. We have the opportunity to work on what's going on.
yes.
We can do it faster, better, in an optimized way. And this we have the strategic innovation with the shop floor integration or the frontline integration. And why is the shop floor or frontline integration such a central element in this model when we think about pipeline management, funnel management, idea management?
Um, for us to be able to invest in long-term innovation, we need to have short ROI cycle products hitting the market, right? We need the PLL healthy to finance longer-term innovation. So understanding the maturity and incremental innovation can be a great example of understanding the maturity of it, how understanding the maturity of an idea can make things run much faster. And if we go back to the ramen allegory that we were using, if you have all your broth and all your ingredients chopped up, you just need to know what combination of ingredients to serve. You can have the same 5 or 6 ingredients, but it's the combination that will come up with different dishes. Right. So for short-term innovation and incremental innovation, this is why it's so important to know to do that front load work. You understand what your product is, you understand your market, you understand your consumers, because innovation is shifting into a more consumer-centric approach in the past 2-3 years, where we've seen more of it. So you need to be quick, and that's where these will solve your bottom line issues short term, right? You finance things.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thanks for sharing, Paula. That's a good angle as well. And let's think about our conversation and your thoughts. They are going further. They are going to the next step and the next step and the next one. So now we have a mid-level mature or a high mature innovation program. So now we need to prioritize ideas based on data. So this becomes clear because it's becoming mature. How can companies balance the use of automation, scorecards, models with the human intuition or with AI? How can we see the potential that doesn't yet be revealed?
This is a very good question because no amount of scorecards will replace, at least in the near future, no amount of scorecards and data will replace the way the brain works, the human brain works. So when you look at the leadership making decisions, they, 99% of the cases, people have reached that level and have earned those chairs based on experience and past successes. So, and going back to innovation can come from anywhere and from anyone. They can look and spot potential. Even if our pipeline might look very mature, they will find a gap there. AI will work with what you're feeding it, but not necessarily find the gaps in your pipeline. You have your strategic planning here, and your projects might seem to be fitting into it, but then it takes just the one person to look at it and say, okay, we've done A, B, and C, but how are we connecting these? And this ingenuity cannot be replaced for the time being, I would say. But leadership that is interested and it's listening, they will never be replaced with just scorecards, I would say. and to fill out scorecards, you still need that level of experience, right? It cannot be, it's not a multiple choice test that I would put A, B, C, D. You need to understand. And that's why a good package when you're presenting an idea is important. You need to give them enough evidence and information to make a strategic decision.
That's great again. That's great again. That's another good angle. Again, I know you've worked with Danish companies, American companies, British companies. So
Yes.
it's a lot. It's a multicultural experience. I would like to bring you to KPIs, connecting the dots between culture and KPIs. So our program is getting more mature and mature and mature while we talk. So when measuring the democratization of innovation, the cultural part, many organizations they get lost between the quantity and the quality or the speed. Which metrics, based on your experience, global experience, which metrics truly indicate that an innovation system is generating sustainable impact? Please, Paula.
Um, it depends on how much your organization is as well, right? Because it might be a try and error, but you can look at percentage of blind submissions reaching review, because if you have a process in place, you cannot progress until certain pieces of information are made available in the system. So are we stopping things from reaching review? And then how many of these ideas are then approved? So it's that ratio of how many ideas are getting approved, how many ideas are being submitted, how many are getting approved, and how many are actually reaching TRL 9, which is sustained growth, right? So that is one that is very good, because you need to fail a lot and you need to try a lot for innovation to work. Not every single idea will be a success. And that's why understanding the maturity of the idea helps de-risking it a little bit. So how long is it taking for an idea to be created in the system until it goes to the board, and how long is the board taking to review it? So that has an impact on how fast you can reach the market. So if you want to be very, very objective, is percentage of blind submissions reaching review, the time, percentage of projects advancing and actually launching, and then because money moves everything, grant and funding matched projects. So if we can get external funding for these, that goes into consortia and open innovation, and that requires a framework as well. You need a playbook for that to work well, and everybody gets their IPs in place, and we can all work together. And one of the things we've spoken before, and I'm very committed to the UN SDGs. So I always try to bring the SDG impact indicators for the funded pilots. So are we contributing to sustainable innovation? Are we contributing to reduce inequality? Are we which one of the 17 goals are we hitting with these ideas?
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Paula, again. I would also add that sometimes when we think about the day-to-day operations, implemented ideas is a very cool KPI as well, because you can see what's going on in terms of frontline and shop floor operations. So I would add this one as well.
Yes, and this is a very good point you raised because when you have opened the floor for operations to bring their ideas, you also need to open for them to wanting to implement those and make sure that that product, the overhead costs are being reduced, and you know we have stock, we can guarantee the supply chain. So making holding people accountable is key for success in this case.
That's great. That's great again, Paula. Thank you very much. Let's keep going. And people watching it, if you have any questions, please do so. Send us some questions and we'll reply you back. So you mentioned something related to pilots, to go there, to chase the next step, to make it happen, to implement it, Paula. Uh, what defines a good pilot, and which signals or what signals show that this pilot is ready to scale, please?
Um, that is the $1 million question because everyone, whenever I have these conversations, people are like, okay, but what is a good pilot, and how many successful runs, production runs, do I need to have for it to be considered successful? It depends on the type of product. It depends, but I would say, is it repeatable? Is it hitting my quality requirements? If we're auditing it, am I hitting my targets there? And when I'm producing it, am I putting anybody at risk with any of what I'm doing? How about HS&E, health and safety environment? Am I contributing to contamination? Am I putting anybody at risk on the shop floor? So you need to treat your pilot as if you were already in the factory, right? We usually will run trials on benchtop or on a pilot factory, a pilot, a trial or a pilot factory. Treat that pilot as if it was your first day at operations. You want it to work. So you try and reach all your targets. Your deviations in quality, your deviations in tolerated times and substances are within range. So treat your pilot as if you're going to be audited.
That's great. That's great. I was typing here and trying to summarize it for our audience. Let me do it with you, and we check it together. Let's go for it, Paula. So, is it repeatable somehow? Number one. Am I following the audit requirements? Number two. Um, is it following the quality control that we have here in our company? Um, can I
Regulatory.
Okay, good one again. Risk management, you said.
Yes.
What is the contribution to the business goals as well?
Yes.
Did I miss something? Probably.
Um, if we are to scale up, what is the overhead cost?
Fantastic. Fantastic. Very good.
And
Very
treat
good.
it as if you're about to be audited. That usually puts the fear in everyone.
That's good. That's good. Okay, let's take notes. Thank you, Paula. Let's take notes on that. So we're uh, finishing our conversation. So let's see or let's assume that we have now a high maturity program. So that's nice. If you could leave one message for leaders who want to break silos and go for the democratization on innovation. On a global scale, what would be the first step and maybe the biggest mistake to be avoided?
Um, no process is infallible. We're all impervious to failure at some point. So if one idea, it can be mature, but when it's being scaled up, it fails, it doesn't mean that the entire effort has failed. You can learn from failure and you can incorporate that into your feedback loops, learning from where things are not working. So I think democratizing innovation is the key message. Making the idea portable, front load evidence, require shop floor validation. Look all the jurisdictional funding available, and anonymize the submission process. Afterwards, it doesn't matter because you need to know who's running the project, to make sure that they're held accountable and they're also very proud of what they are delivering. You can't collaborate. We also cannot collaborate with people if you don't know who you're working with, right? Who submitted the idea. But the main thing for it to be successful is you need to embed operational excellence into it, have a continuous improvement mindset and systems thinking, because everything we do has a domino effect somewhere else. So, but it's a framework that's not impervious to failure. It can fail because markets change, regulations change. It doesn't matter how fast we are moving with our implementations. Legislation sometimes can be approved very quickly and we might not see it coming. Although I recommend that we monitor regulations in our respective fields to be always on top of what's going on, but not to dismiss the entire proposal, the entire framework, or not to say that innovation is not worth it because of one failed project. Learn from it.
Fantastic, Paula. Fantastic. And you just brought something related to regulation, which is it's a very good statement. You know, the other day I was talking to a fellow, and he told me one line can change everything in your business. So
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly. If you look at the tech space right now and all of the regulation that's being pushed through for AI, when you're working with personal data, you already have to comply with GDPR. So you need to be always looking out to what could possibly be the next change in legislation. Data ethics is a big topic right now, and it can and will impact all the apps and all the programs and software we're using in the next 2 to 3 years, and it will be fast and it will be broad. So, as you said, one line can change everything. You can have invested a lot, blood, sweat, and tears into a product, and because legislation changed, you might not be able to see that through. So,
Fantastic. That's great, Paula. That's great. Thank you very much for being with us, for sharing your vision on the future of idea and innovation management. And we would say that's a future where innovation and processes and structure they are treated with the same rigor and discipline as operational excellence, continuous improvement, artificial intelligence, but yet it remains deeply human. Thank you very much.
thank you, Fernando. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully it will inspire more people into embedding continuous improvement and operational excellence into their innovation management and idea management. Break those silos.
That's it. That's it. That's the key message. That's the key message.
Break
Thank
the
you very
silos.
much. Break the
Thank you.
silence. Break silence. So
Break
thank
it.
you very much. All of you, thank you for being with us. You have our LinkedIn here, Paula's LinkedIn here. Please be in touch, exchange ideas, and let's innovate together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.